Hello everybody, welcome back to some more early morning barking, talking about BPD and NPD by somebody that has both. I've got my smug voice on today. I don't know why. Yes, I do. It's because I'm going to do a thing where I'm right and you're wrong. And you're going to kick and scream and you're going to go, no, you're not right, Rich. Actually, I've read a blog. I'm going to just laugh. And right, here's the thing. There are people out there who are going to pander to you, right? There are people who are going to tell you exactly what you want to hear to make you feel all warm and fuzzy and cuddly and happy and nice. We don't do that here. We don't. This is not the early morning barking ethos, is it really? This is where if me being right and you being wrong can make you cry, then, well, I do love the taste of those salty, salty tears. So, let's talk about quiet BPD. I have your argument ready for you.
Now that is scientific fact. There's no real evidence for it, but it is scientific fact.
Yeah, this is basically what everything says about it when you start looking it up. You see, this came to me in a little journey that I've been through. People started coming to me on TikTok lives and YouTube lives and saying, do you know I have quiet BPD? I'd say, I didn't know that. I don't know who you are, but what's quiet BPD? And they say, well, it's like BPD, but I'm quiet. Oh, right. It's a subtype, they'd say. A subtype of BPD. Well, a subtype of BPD. I don't ever remember really encountering such things. I mean, I am no medical expert, as I do make very clear as often as possible. I'm not exactly trained in anything. I've not done years of reading and lectures and all of this stuff. I've just read the DSM thing and Wikipedia and that sort of stuff. I've never really encountered quiet BPD. So I started looking, and you start coming across all kinds of things that will tell me about quiet BPD, and including channels much bigger and more prestigious than my own talking about BPD will let me know exactly what quiet BPD is. But they all had this interesting thing they said at the beginning that I couldn't quite get over. And it was, I'll read to you here. I found a written version of it here on a Psych Central article about quiet BPD. Quiet BPD isn't an official clinical diagnosis. That's interesting. It's not an official diagnosis. I have another one here. This is Healthline. It says it's been suggested that there are subtypes of BPD, but this theory is unproven. One such subtype is known as quiet BPD, which means that you direct your struggles more inward so others don't notice. However, quiet BPD is not a recognized diagnosis. A person can only be diagnosed with BPD, not quiet BPD. So why are all these people coming to me and telling me they've got quiet BPD? What is this? I mean, no doctor's ever told anybody they've got quiet BPD. Why do you all think you've got quiet BPD? What is it? It's a thing that's made up. You see, all of these articles, all of these videos, all of these blog posts, everything will say, quiet BPD is not a thing. It's just sort of made up. But here's what quiet BPD is. And then they'll tell you all about it. And they might as well be telling you what a dragon is or a unicorn. You can do a whole blog post or a YouTube video about what a dragon looks like. But it's all made up. There are no dragons. But you can describe one to me, can't you? You can tell me what one does. You can tell me that they're big, fiery, flying, lizardy things. But there's no dragon. And there's no quiet BPD. This isn't made up totally, though, right? Because I did stumble on this thing, right? I say a thing. It was more of a person. This article here mentions Theodore Millon, the psychologist who kind of suggested these BPD subtypes. So now we have to Wikipedia Theodore Millon. And it turns out, when you look at his work, he was an American psychologist born in 1928 in Brooklyn. He's done lots of work. He's contributed to the DSM and things like that. And it turns out that among his hobbies, that were sort of baking, long walks in the countryside, reading, riding his horse, and making up personality disorder subtypes. He just couldn't get enough of making up personality disorder subtypes. It's what he liked to do with his time. And he's got personality disorder subtypes for every personality disorder. All of them. They've all got subtypes, apparently. He's the only one that seemed to think this in the first place, but he took it and he ran with this idea. Now, the weird thing is that even when you look at his subtypes that he came up with, discouraged borderline, petulant borderline, impulsive borderline, self-destructive borderline, excuse me looking away, I'm reading, obviously, deal with it, right? None of them are quite BPD. It's almost as if it really has just been made up to get clicks. That doesn't sound like a thing that's going to happen on YouTube or the internet, right? I mean, I think I'm starting to see this as a made-up thing. Then, do you know the DSM isn't the only book like the DSM, right? There's the ICD-10, which isn't just mental health disorders. This is put out by the World... I have trouble saying this. I always stumble over it. The World Health Organization. And it's a list of everything, right? It's the book of, right, this is everything that can go wrong with a human body. And of course it has mental health disorders in, and it doesn't list BPD at all. It lists emotionally unstable BPD, which has 2 subtypes, neither of which are quiet. It's all a made-up thing. It's not real. And what I find interesting about it is this, right? When you look at Theodore's subtypes of all his personality disorders, he's made up so many of these, right? So many of them. They do have a couple of things in common, all of them, right? They change what our problem is. Well, no, I'm putting that wrong. No. We talk about what our problem is. Fear of abandonment. There's an example. We have a fear of abandonment in BPD. But these subtypes don't talk about that part of it. They talk about further down the line, how that fear of abandonment plays out. How, and this is just one example. Pick a marker for a personality disorder. Seriously, he did all of them. And they're all like this. They're not what we do, it's how we do it. It's very odd and very specific and doesn't seem really helpful. I've talked a lot about how we all experience BPD differently. There's all these different markers. We have various numbers of them and combinations of them. There's hundreds of different ways of doing it. And then we all have, well, a lot of us have comorbidities, other markers from other personality disorders, maybe not enough to have that other thing. Maybe some of us do, all kinds of stuff going on. And we all behave differently, and this is not just based on that combination of factors, but also our lives, the people in them, how we've been influenced, what is important to us, what is bad for us, all of these other things. And what he's trying to do is group that, which seems a bit crazy when you think about it, and not really necessary or useful in any way, because the playing out of the thing is not what we're trying to deal with. We're not trying to deal with how you deal with your fear of abandonment. We're trying to deal with your fear of abandonment. So to group us all and put us in these little subclasses based on God knows what criteria, and there's just basically almost infinity of these subgroups once you really wanted to get into it. Why? Why? I mean, dude's got to write books, I guess. People got to make YouTube videos. We don't want to make you cry over stuff. I don't care. Once again, don't comment. And we just make guff. We just make noise. We just make worthlessness that confuses people further. Because we have something unique in our audience here, I'm talking to people with BPD, borderline personality disorder. How many of you are sat there with an unclear, shifting self-image? How many of you sat there listening to me, looking for answers, looking for a label, looking for a name of something, looking for another emoji you can put after your Twitter username to say, look how unique and special I am, and I can take advantage of that. I can take advantage of you by just making up stuff and telling you you've got it. And some of you will believe me. And here we are. And it's really difficult to get people out of that. It's sort of comforting, right? You sort of found a bit more of an identity. You found something else. You found a way of being special within the special people. Not only do you have BPD, you have quiet BPD. It's an extra special thing that needs talking about. I'm sorry, no. You just got BPD like the rest of us. You might not got loud and shouty, so that doesn't mean it's something different, right? We all get something different and we move between states. We don't stay static in it. It changes as we age. It changes based on outside influences. It changes on our own natural capacity to try and cope with our erratic behavior and emotions. To try and group us based on the way this plays out is just insanity and gets us nowhere. I always say we dig to the roots. We get to the bottom of the problem. There's something causing the problem. We're looking at the pain in the leg and not the fact the bone is broken. We need to fix the bone and the pain will stop. It's no good just taking painkillers without fixing the bone. BPD subtypes, pointless, useless. Extra label for you, extra thing to worry about, extra thing to think about. Chill, right? You know, I keep hearing about things like different personality disorder traits, different symptoms of different things, and you find yourself thinking, oh God, do I have that too? I do that thing. And I reached a point a long time ago where I said to myself, do you know what? No more letters, no more numbers after my name, no more diagnoses, thank you. What I need to work on, regardless of what those things are, regardless of what this is called, regardless of how this is classified, I need to work on me and my problems and my traumas and my worries and fears. Because everybody else's are irrelevant to me. That doesn't matter. You will get better. Fine, great. But I've got to deal with my problems. And worrying about these labels and putting it on and labeling. No, it never got me anywhere. It never achieved anything. I know inside what I have to deal with. I know where my fears are. And after a long time of therapy, I know what they are. And I've dealt with most, if not all of them. But that's what I had to do. It didn't matter what was wrong with me. Not everyone in the same group had the same things wrong with them as I did with me. But we all faced our trauma. We all dealt with our past, with the source of this pain, the source of our uncertainty and fears and doubt. Coming up with a name for it, saying, oh, by the way, you've all got this, meant nothing. Was unnecessary, unneeded, and pointless. And so is quiet BPD. So are all the subtypes. I hope that didn't hurt too much. Just go with it, all right? I'm not saying you're fine and you're making stuff up or anything like that. Like, I understand you're in pain, but you don't need to look for made-up names as to what it might be. It doesn't matter. And you're better off without it. So just stick with the BPD and we'll sort that, I promise. All right? You take care. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.